there. Welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Craig. Craig says, I'm loving your weekly content and podcasts as always. Thank you, Craig. I have a question which is mostly about how do you point kids in the direction of their innate health, if you even have to, of course. That's a good little addendum there. If you even have to. Do we even have to do this? Okay, so Craig says, my 11-year-old granddaughter has developed a phobia or a thought pattern, which makes her really nervous about going away from home on holidays, sleepovers with friends, etc. She still manages to do these away from home things, even if she has to, and ultimately enjoys it when she's there, of course. But she can really work herself up into a frenzy of fearful thinking about the prospect of these things in advance, including tears, fear, anxiety, etc., which almost prevent her from going. She's otherwise a very outgoing and active kid, almost tomboyish, which is great. Apparently her issue, may stem from one time when she was away and both she and her mom became ill, vomiting. She may have developed fearful thinking about that happening again. With the help of her parents, who aren't aware of the principles, she's been trying some traditional therapies, such as CBT, but with limited success so far, I believe. I've been around the principles for many years myself, and I know there's a simpler, deeper understanding that could potentially help her, but I don't want to force this upon her, and I haven't really exposed my other family members to it either. And who knows, she's probably doing just fine as she is. At times, though, I wish I could just subtly point her in the direction of a story or book or video or resource that would let her see a different approach to her thought patterns. Who knows, maybe this question is really just about me and my own struggles and frustration to see others going through thought storms when I know there's a different understanding that might be available to them. Therefore, perhaps all I can do is just be there for her and others as best I can when I see them, showing them an example of how to be. At the same time, I wish there was some useful little seed I could plant that could open up a different pathway for her. At the risk of making this too long, I'll leave it here. Okay, so I love what you're, I love like so often people talk themselves into clarity just through the question, right? And it's not like you had to talk yourself into this, Craig. I think it's so helpful to just get out what's on our mind, what looks like the problem. And there's something so cool about seeing that as we do that, already the thought that felt so solid, that had this looking like a real problem, that maybe you should step in and do something, it just starts to dissolve a little bit. It starts to shimmer. It doesn't look so solid. And maybe from behind that, something else shows up, And so I love how it's like, this is a thing for her sometimes, as far as you know. She's, in tears. She feels fear. She feels anxiety. Those are all safe. There are things that 11-year-olds and 111-year-olds feel all the time. And then she goes and does the thing, and she has fun, and she, that's the end of it maybe. So I don't know how to articulate it well, but there's something for her in just seeing, not necessarily explicitly, although you can point this out to her if you want, but in her having the experience of, oh, look, fear and thoughts, and I don't want to go, and what if I get sick again, and I'm scared, and don't make me go, and all of that arising. Then she goes to the sleepover, she has fun, and she comes back home and she's grateful that she went. I went through that a ton as a kid. I bet everyone did in their own way about different things. We get so worked up, we throw our temper tantrum in our head or in real life or however that looks, and then we do the thing anyway, because we do, and then we see something from that. And she's not too young for these dots to start to connect, for her to see from her own real experience and through her own insight, if you want to call it that, but it's really just seeing what's going on. Her seeing, oh, look, all of this gets to arise, and it doesn't have to stop me, and it doesn't even stop me from having fun. And even if it does stop her at times, so what? She'll still wake up the next day okay, So I just share that for all of us to kind of just see, and I know you know this, Craig, because you're saying it in your question, like, man, there's this amazing way that learning happens all by itself. And then there's this other way that each of us is living in a world of thought and projection, and you're sitting at home thinking of your sweet granddaughter worried that maybe the CBD isn't working, or that she could see something more clearly, or there's a better seed or whatever. And then you're experiencing her suffering, but she's not. You're experiencing your own suffering, really, coming from all of this within you. And again, even when she's suffering, even when she's crying and feeling afraid and all of that, that's okay. And that's tough. Of course, again, it's such a paradox. We do want to take that away from people, but I wouldn't want to take this away necessarily. I don't know. There's this way in which we just grow up and we hit against things, and I think they're there to wake us up. They wake us up along the way. So if we go through life trying really hard to take everybody's suffering away, we're also taking away their maturity, their emotional maturity. They're waking up to what's real, potentially. Yeah, it just gets a little tricky. So I do love, though, Craig, and I just want to point this out for you and for everyone, how you say at the end, maybe this is really just about me and my own struggles and frustration to see others going through thought storms when I know there's something else that could be available. And I think that's just this, there's got to be a seed that I can drop, that I can plant. What's the thing? And even as you list some of these things, I just wish I could point her in the direction of a story or a book or a video. Sometimes something shows up like that, but kind of see this magic seed thought in you as exactly what you said, because I think you're spot on there. This is you feeling some discomfort, and then in an instant, a mind jumps in and says, "Ooh, don't like this feeling, don't like this feeling. What could make this feeling different? Oh, I know. If my granddaughter was better, if I gave her, or if anyone gave her the right book or story, and then this didn't happen, then I would feel better." And of course, this isn't selfish, and that's not how it's showing up in your head. It's showing up in our heads as all about them. And it really is well-meaning. I don't mean to make it sound like it's a selfish thing. It's just that everything is selfish in a sense, in that way. It's only feeling here, and it's not even whatever this is. The feeling is registered in what we think of as me, my body. That's the only place it ever is. So sometimes it comes along with images of someone else suffering, and we think, gotta fix that so this can feel better. And it's subtle, but it's also not. So just kind of look at that. I think a lot can open up for all of us when we stop overlooking what's really going on. And always what's really going on is right here, always. But our mind overlooks it instantly and gives it some cause out there, and then runs around trying to fix problems out there, really so that we can feel better. But ultimately, Craig, again, all of this is so paradoxical. I think what I just said is the basis of it for sure. And also, there's an 11-year-old who you want to give some support to. Wonderful, beautiful, perfect. So maybe you just share what you see next time you see her. Maybe the CBT is exactly what's going to be helpful for her. We have no idea, I think people go through, especially kids, go through things like that, and it really does open something up. It doesn't have to be about principles in content. What she's being pointed to, hopefully, in CBT is that there's thinking here and that it comes and goes. That's all anyone ever needs, something like that. So we just don't know. Stay really dumb, but also stay dumb and open to the possibility that this whole thing she's going through is absolutely the best thing for her. It's helping her learn and grow and learn about emotions and wake up herself. So let's not take it away from her. And at the same time, when you're around her, I would recommend you just sharing what you see in some way that feels authentic, rather than pointing her to a book or a video or anything else, because she'll hear it from you better than from anyone else, most likely. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much, Craig, for sending your question. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and see you back here next week. Bye, everyone.